Yeah.
Hey Trish, creepy Zoom lady. Hi, catch-up group.
Hi, catch-up group.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted a big conversation that was happening earlier to introduce Arden because I'm excited and I get pumped about introducing people. So back to whatever fun things y'all were talking
We were
about.
just talking about everyone's wholesome days, or really Mike's wholesome day. I don't know if other people have had like wholesome days.
I was just thinking, and it's non-related topic, but back in the old days, computer games, and they used to put like Easter eggs and things. And so on Christmas Day, they'd have like Christmas Day. I wonder if Trish, just like Happy Christmas, everyone, on like Christmas Day or something. If you have a Zoom call for Christmas.
There's probably opportunities to
great.
find out.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to
Pitch it
poetry.
to Zoom. Pitch it to Zoom. I love that you classically had a wholesome day, Mike. That makes me happy. I had Closest Embrace, the peer support group this morning,
how was that?
and it was really nice.
Yeah.
I did a Skillshare on radical acceptance and turning the mind, which are some things I grabbed from a therapy program I did a while ago. And we just ended up in really interesting philosophical discussions about like ways to accept reality without necessarily approving of it and stuff like that for like an hour, and just talking about existing in the world and trying to change your perspective on things. And my brain hasn't been able to stop thinking about it since then, which is how you know it was a really good conversation.
That's so nice. That's cool. What platform is it on?
Zoom. I steal Frankie's Zoom account so that I can run it.
But what is it? Closest to Embrace. What is it?
Oh, it's just a peer support group for dancers. I started it early on in the pandemic because so many of us were missing touching and dancing and close embrace and hugging each other. So I was like, it's the closest we can get over the internet. Let's talk about our feelings and stuff.
So lovely. That is so lovely.
Everyone to come shoot me a message. I've been doing fortnightly. We might switch back to Sundays now that the course is wrapping up this week, but we will see depending on when it works for people.
Cool.
My partner is a dancer and is currently and like just started grad school in an MFA for dance, and they're having a tough time doing dance over Zoom. This is like a very difficult time to do it. So I, as much as like it's been hard for many people who are in education to go online, I think the dancers might have it the hardest.
Oh yeah, Arden, I didn't tell you. Other than Ashra, who I met in university, I have met all of these folks through dance. So
oh, cool.
Dancers. So
yeah, how do you folks know each other? What is the dance connection?
Social dancing, mostly in the UK and Scotland. I have a habit of going back and forth. I don't know about you, Jess. I'm guessing because of our mutual humans. And Ashra started dancing because of me and moved to Vancouver. And I was like, you should dance. Go dance, you'll meet people.
Yeah,
that sum it up?
Pretty much.
Yeah, because the Storytime group was was kind of an offshoot of like the COVID dance like community group that was set up when we first went into restrictions here in the UK. That was set up by one of the Dundee dancers, and then Frank. Particularly at the start, there was like all sorts of things, and Storytime particularly, and Shri doing yoga are kind of the two offshoots that have really like sustained pretty much the whole time. So Poetry Saturdays have been going since about 2 weeks into UK lockdown. It's actually really early on.
Yeah, well, my hair was kind of up here.
Yeah, you can tell because everyone's hair.
Mine was too.
Whoa, Jess, your hair's looking cool.
Oh my goodness.
This is where my trousers start, and it's like down. I can't get to like I've lived alone for the whole of COVID, so there was like 2 months there where I got out of lockdown, and the rest has been in lockdown. So I'm gonna be one of those people that has a plait down to their butt very soon.
Awesome.
Yep.
I was thinking about just putting it in a ponytail and getting kitchen scissors and just
no.
But I don't know if it would be.
No.
It would be
I mean, it's scary,
no.
but also Frankie did some incredible on herself haircuts, or at least they were like good from the Zoom angle. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a word for that now, and I can't remember what it is. But yeah, like where you cut your own hair and it looks great on Zoom, but terrible from the back.
Well, yeah, because the front is the bit you can see.
Yeah.
Megan complimented the back of my hair yesterday at book club online, and it was the most relieving thing to me having cut it myself.
I've just solved this problem by not cutting my hair.
Shall we bang the poetry time gavel and start poetry time? I feel like the gavel hasn't had an outing for a while.
It hasn't. It's getting dusty. Yeah.
I have one from Vanessa Kisule that I can kick us off on because it's about holiday and travel, and it feels like a good starting point for a journey. So it is just called Holiday. On a crack of dawn flight to another country, another tongue, and another culture, you are tired of the crick in your neck, the press of the seat in the front of your knees. You want to be stationary, greeted by the same view from your window for at least 3 consecutive days. But when you land, you are met with joy of unfamiliar streets and universal customs, a myriad of words for hello, thank you, and sorry are brief guests in your bashful mouth. As you walk round a grand fountain, framed in the dazzling green only the utopia of Scandinavia could offer, a conversation with your aunt floats to the top of your mind. One in which she confided she had never left her country, that all her other siblings had never even left their village. And it's all you can do, not to weep in the face of chance and its callous scattergun hand. You vow never to take the miracle of flight for granted again, but the tears do not stop. A kind, fair-haired man stops to survey the scene of you, and before you can look away, he asks in improbably perfect English if there's anything he can do to help you. Oh,
That was really lovely.
She's so good. She was Bristol's Poet Laureate for a while and may still be. So
Very cool.
open the floor. Take any theme or very tangential connection you like. And
feel like-
have a bit of time because I don't know my poetry collections like well
Like
enough.
a poetry countdown, like a countdown. Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, I could go for one just purely based on the fact that aunt is mentioned and family relationships.
Excellent connections.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. Remember how I said I might get sad and stuff? This is by Danusha Lamaris. It's called The Watch. At night, my husband takes it off, puts it on the dresser beside his wallet and keys, laying down for a moment the accoutrements of manhood. Sometimes, when he's not looking, I pick it up, savor the weight, the dark face ticked with silver, the brown ostrich leather band with its little goosebumps, raised as the flesh is raised in pleasure. He had wanted a watch and was pleased when I gave it to him. And since we've been together 10 years, it seemed like the occasion for the gift of a watch, a recognition of the intricate achievements of marriage, its many negotiations and nameless triumphs. But tonight, when I saw it lying there among his crumpled receipts and scattered pennies, I thought of my brother's wife coming home from the coroner, carrying his rings, his watch, in a clear Ziploc bag, and how we sat at the table and emptied them into our palms, their slight pressure, all that remained of him. How odd the way a watch keeps going, even after the heart has stopped. My grandfather, was a watchmaker and spent his life in Holland, leaning over a clean, well-lit table, a surgeon of time, attending to the inner workings, spring, escapement, balance wheel. I can't take it back. The way the man I love is already disappearing into this mechanism of metal and hide, this accountant of hours that holds with such precise indifference all the minutes of his life.
Oh, that's oh, that's incredible. Who did you say that was by?
Tanisha Lamaris, I'm obsessed with this book from Bonfire Opera. If it helps your nerdy heart at all, Naomi Shihab Nye presented her with an award once, so that's a reason to buy this book.
And there's a connection if anyone's looking for one to a next poem.
I have on the connection of perhaps love and somewhat complicated relationships. A wandering, beautiful nonsense poem. It's by Kim Baraka from the Astasia Balderdash, called Delilah Evangeline. And the prefix is: a mermaid, a declining shining, abashedly lying, embedded in Yul Sakur. She can build an ivory tower before that spit even dries. She's that kind of girl. Delilah Evangeline. Why worry about a backbone when the wind blows, when the sky is fat with stars, the wan, blue evening's matchless marginality at the yellow event of my life slouching toward. There are firecrackers in the way my empty mind, unattended with flowers and out of sheer time, can just fall just shy of completing a thought when he opens his mouth. Mother of pearl mumbling from the corners of his eyes as he metabolizes the heroine princess she drears. Could she ever hear the master's refrain, the master's hums of hums she can only dove heavy, ears pressed firmly to sweet lamb of untranslatable, as though mumbling were the measure of a man. And she demands the nearest brown paper bag to regulate her breathing as she regulates her bleeding. She's the regulator of bleating of lambs. Someone with whom to compete a dream, someone to match pitch black. So this is hell, love, with neither heart nor coma. He loves me not. I throw myself to it forward. He don't want change. The love is taking over, so he won't talk love, my composure. I'm off it. I've loved you in ribbons. I've your oasis, your itis, every life ever led, every lead pipe ever dreamed about the closure. I'm off it. We will never die to sigh long sighs in the middle of the moon. That's cool, I guess. I laugh like I don't know. My name is Delilah Yellow Rose. You focus and fuck us both. It was so fucking cool. So tell me a story. Sing me a sweet one. I have one ear pressed to the phantom ocean in the seashell, blind in both deep blue, bleary-eyed Carolines, blonde as a bat, beautiful and infidel, the kind that gets down on its knees. For what is yet of it? To slap the sightless from the slacker's never cold hands and doubtfulness, coping skills with patient rot. His I'm required. It shall never be amiss if thou thou'st him thrice, the old lie. Oh, be for me like rain, be for me like rain. The old lie lying beside you. He loves me not. So never mind, I come to my senses all whoops whoopsie daisy, lying beside you, requite. We soft when we lie, the way we'd never in our lives. So this is hell, love, with neither remarkability nor testimonial. So this is hell. So close your eyes, dear. Count yourselves. Curse yourself that we were ever. The body goes along with it. The way you philosophized me by the thighs, the way I spread them to show you my figurative. The body goes. It was so fucking cool. I forgot to say fuck no. Fuck yeah, I laugh. I don't know. My name is Delilah, yellow rose, pretender, the patient tongue to cope. Though it's true that the one who believes in you burns bridges, I'm the only one lying on top of you. Just as in love we couldn't remember. There's truth in the way that I shine for you.
Holy fucking shit, that was a ride.
I know I'm definitely going to listen to that one again because I feel like it was lovely, but I feel like I missed bits because there's so much in there.
All of her poems are so much fun to read, and they wander, and there's so much wordplay and beautiful nonsense in the best kind of way.
Oh, I'm excited to listen to that one back. I really love the repetition in it and the rhythm. I can totally hear how they'd be fun to read.
That's really cool, Ashra.
Maybe we'll do one more later on if another connects. We'll see.
Rabbit Dara and Jess, I'm assuming you're here just to listen, but if you ever want to jump in with anything, then that is cool. And Hi Secret, Bracken and Rory, jump in if you want to. Cool. I might have one that would follow, but I need to go and grab a different book for it. But if someone else, Mike or Arden, if you have anything that follows, feel free to shout out.
Sure, I have something that's not by me, by a woman named Dessa that I really enjoy and wanted to share with you. It's called, is now a fine time? I assume so. It's called Tits on the Moon. The moon's gravity is 1/6 of ours. My tits would be awesome there. Taking a bath on Earth, breasts float, the liver lifts off the kidney, the small of the back arches up and off the bottom of the tub, curling like an instep, and very quickly the body forgets everything it knows about gravity and burden bearing. It's like a house cat who's whisked through the legs of a visitor out the screen door and into the night. And even before she's off the block, she loses all recollection of what her life is about. The name you call her, the food dish in the afternoon, the collar around her neck, which might as well now be blank. There are 2 ways to end a bath. In the movies, women step out of the tub and into a plush towel, often reflected in a steamed mirror in deference to the censors. I prefer to pull the plug and let it drain around me. The organs settle heavy on each other. The breasts flatten down against the ribs. Hair clings to everything it can, and the body is re-yoked to itself. The posture that was appropriate for floating looks limp and broken now. The steaming human form on the bottom of the tub looks like it might have fallen there, the porcelain crater applied to the impact. Or maybe it was dropped there from the jaws of the house cat, out all night, play hunting. Whatever you get when you take a bath, the bath takes back. And the 5/6 are yours to carry.
That's brilliant. Love it.
I'm so into that.
Oh, because I can just like feel that. I know that. Oh, yeah, that was great.
It definitely didn't go where I expected it to go from the opening line.
Yeah.
I
Like I thought it was going to be more like more of a kind of nonsense yeah, like purple paper people or whatever, like one of those kind of, yeah, very sort of irreverent, like funny ones, but I liked it.
Yeah.
It was good.
I haven't got one that flows on directly onto it, but it picks up on Lyric, Ashra, and Arden's. So we've got got watches, pearls, and moon. So it's those three things. So I
Hey,
think
there's a moon there, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Why
That's a
not?
connection.
Yeah, totally. Why not? The Light Gatherer by Carol Ann Duffy. When you were small, your cupped palms each held a candle worth under the skin. Enough light to begin, and as you grew, light gathered in you. 2 clear raindrops in your eyes, warm pearls, shy, in the lobes of your ears, even always the light of the smile after your tears. Your kissed feet glowed in my one hand, where I'd enter a room to see the corner you played in lit like a stage set. The crown of your bowed head spotlit when language came, it glittered like a river. Silver, clever with fish, and you slept with the whole moon held in your arms for a night light where I knelt watching. Light gatherer, you fell from a star into my lap, the soft lamp at the bedside mirrored in you. And now you shine like a snow girl. A buttercup under a chin, the wide blue yonder you squeal at and fly in, like a jeweled cave, turquoise and diamond and gold, opening out at the end of a tunnel of years. I really like that one.
I like Carol Ann Duffy. She's just yeah.
That was really beautiful.
And your reading of it is so nice too.
I could do a Liz Berry one called Sky Birth to follow.
Yes, please.
With a kind of beginnings and growth connection to that.
I like it.
This is from the Republic of Motherhood collection. And for new people, Liz Berry's from my part of England, and she kind of writes in a yam yam accent, so I do it a bit different to my normal reading voice. Sky birth. Bringing you to the world, I let the mountain enter me. Mauve, shadow, the sky a zoetrope spinning crows and rain-soaked fog. I let in the scree and nodding heads of heather, a path hidden by moss, where waymarkers of dotterel skulls whistled in the breeze. I opened my chest to the wind, which soughed and howled over the voice of the midwife, the beeping monitors. The ascent was steep, dirt and stream, the air electrified with concentration. A hair leapt in the milkweed, mizzle fell slant on my spine. Up I climbed until I could no longer see the bottom, the place I had begun, but wretched with the heights, pure beast of the base world. Up, higher, further. I cried out, but the gale swallowed it and sang back my name, until everything was burning, until the face was sheer and the rush were on fire and bones of death gleaming beneath. I knelt on all fours, scrambled, desperate to reach the summit, the splitting peak. When it came fast, a shining crown through the slap of the storm. For a second, we were alone on that highest place. And love, oh love, I would have gladly left my body on that lit ledge for birds to pick clean, for my heart was in yours now, and your small body would be the one to carry us.
Yay!
That was so
Oh,
gorgeous.
Thank you, Bina.
I love her so much.
It's
Feel
good to
free
have
to
you
just, like,
and this story back.
Yeah. Please feel free to just record yourself reading an entire collection of hers and send it to us all to listen to and be soothed by if you ever feel like it, you know.
You know, just if you do,
That just happens to come up.
Just so you've got a spare afternoon, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel like reading poetry to yourself anyway, it's great.
Yeah. So mountains, birth, wind, nature, animals, lots of things in that one.
Lots of things.
Yeah. So
Remind me.
yeah.
There's one called Newfoundland from the Endlings book, which the sense of place and the descriptions reminded me of this. Sloping orange rocks tip towards gulls, who flap to ledges, flaught into darker stone. Below, a little green boat is tilting. The sailors face the cliff, walkers on the headland look down at the shifting sea. Humans catalogue each other. A constant chop and trough of birds angle under clouds that ground aeroplanes for days. The sea is too far below to hear the ancient harmony. The echoes of old rhymes. I listen though, for accidents of matching, patterned sounds, for unintended language rising. This orange rock is my original land, 2,000 miles across the sea, split by the Atlantic rift 500 million years ago, as Avalonia and Gondwana drifted. As the museum down the hill, I'd slid my fingers over trilobites' ridges, the partitioned species that proved the two lambs were one. I didn't look for long at the arthropod who ate its own spiny kind, nor at the tube of human garbage or the clock counting. 2 babies born every second, it's better. Here at the edge, where the sea won't settle, where the salt air and warm rock remind me of that path I ran down every summer to a West Wales beach.
That's also delightful. Hi, Bracken and Rory. Do it.
Do it.
I thought, is it, unless anybody else has something to go after that?
After that entrance, are you fucking kidding me? I feel like you've earned it. I mean, I'm not the host, but I have an authoritative voice.
Agreed.
That is true, you do have an authoritative voice. So since Katie isn't here to read from She Will Soar, which is a book that she recommended me, thought I'd do one. So this is called It's the Sea I Want. It's the sea I want. Make no mistake, not the resorts with boarding houses, pressed together and shivering, praying for sun and central heating. It's the sea I want. The whole boiling, destructive, disruptive, sterilizing, I think it's smashing. Undermining this island, unpenning gorse and headland, arresting without warrant growth and sunlight. Landscapes at risk, thumped with fists of wind, eaten up with a mouthful of mist, slump like a stock market suddenly into the channel. Down the long final slide go houses full of the dying, carefully tended gardens into the riot of salt, while, all along, a population of cold, shelled and speechless creatures waits to inherit the hot, hideous, restless chaos I've helped to make in 60 industrious years. 60 industrious years, and the motorway from the Midlands has brought me down at last to the level of the sea. I see with the sea's eye. It bites the cliffs, fondles the coast, and swings away again out to sea, waving, waving, making no promises. It spits back in our faces the coins and cans of beaches. It's the sea I want, belting the land, breaking all the rules, speaking its guttural, thrusting tongue. It pays no taxes, cringes before no conscience, and carries its own prestige on its naked, shining back. It's the sea I want. If it's not too late to sit and contemplate the hard, bright, barbarous jewels of the totally indifferent sea, something I never made and cannot be guilty of. I have done with the pains of love. Leave me alone with the sea that picks bones clean and was and shall be.
That was epic.
That was so fucking well read. Holy shit.
So epic.
Oh man.
You followed through on the entrance you
I love
made.
that.
So it's all good. I have a short one that could follow that I think I've read before from this Natalie Burdett collection. Linking going to the sea and beach litter and things the beach picks up. It's from Urban Drift and it's called The Soy Sauce Fish. Trapped, plastic body marked, not just with scales, fins, gills, but with a neat hook at its capped mouth. Doomed to be chucked once empty, squeezed for 5 seconds, crushed and dropped to gutter drift. Lucky, it might float, bubble intact, spirit level straight, to make its way back to where the salt's external. Why not refill the fish with what you find delicious? Let it live, swim home, umami joyful, sweet, salt, brackish, free.
Oh, I love that.
Also, Umami Joyful is my new drag name.
I have What About Feeling Stuck, but if someone has something along Umami Joyful, I feel like we really should go with that line of thought.
I wish I did.
Anyone? Like, I'll be honest, me and Lyric are not going to run out of poems. So
Yeah.
if you want to jump
Let's put a stack here.
Go for it, Lyric.
Cool. This is an old one. I'm probably gonna end it again now that I've taken poetry courses at some point. But yeah, along the lines of feeling stuck, like stuck in, you know, your little plastic casing there. This is Growing Pains. And I actually found the fucking picture of the tree for this that's like referenced in this poem. So if you want to see it, message me. Growing Pains. Once upon a time in Dublin, a friend took me to a stunning cemetery where a headstone that once stood in a row, as perfect in formation as the surrounding soldiers beneath the ground once did, was embraced by the bark of a tree. Now, I don't mean low branches wrapped around his gentle arms. I mean, this headstone may one day be held so tightly, its entire identity will be engulfed. It slumped into the tree's rings, having silently sobbed through rain for many lifetimes. That trunk was the thing that kept it standing all these years. There's a reason Growing Pains have earned that name. We break through our comfort, our walls of protection, the structures that uphold us. wrapped in the center of a life grown, built by someone else. What once grew to hold this lone stone up pushed it so far away, its face looks as if it were falling. This tree that once acted as support cracked the stone more and more as its growth took hold. Stay with me, my dear. We stood together before, and we will be strong together again. Yet still, its cool gray pulled away, having been pushed too far. While it appears this headstone no longer has the capacity to stand on its own, it knows it has no choice, for what once held it up now holds it back.
Lyric, is that one of yours?
Yep.
Very cool.
And the stone is in Glasnevin Cemetery. If anyone's in Dublin and wants to go see it, there's a really cool, like hundreds and hundreds of years old pub that I had to duck through the doorway to get into there. It's a cool little cemetery.
Nice.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
And one day we will be able to go back to Dublin for dancing, which will be very exciting. Pretty much.
Yay.
I have been like without going dancing, but not very often.
That's definitely one of the places that Rory and I have specifically been like, we're going to Dublin.
Oh, that would be so nice.
I would have a poem that could follow on that.
Go for it.
I guess the connections that I sort of felt there was about I don't know, interconnectedness and yeah, just being connected to other humans, but more in life. So this poem is by Tony Spencer, and it's called Reciprocal Rhythm. There is a reciprocal rhythm, a flow between things, a velocity of reciprocity that builds a village, builds a dream, builds the world. For we are kin, and kin means I need you and you need me, and the sun, and the water, and the soil born of things long dead. Most of us grew up in little boxes made of tiki-taki. My house, my plate, your plate. In the desert, there's one plate at dinner, one plate where we all tuck in, fingers first, food for all. I want that. I want you to ask me for stuff. I want you to ask because asking is the kind of boldness we need. Tell me what you want and I come a little closer to you and we dance. It's not the yes or the no, but the asking that rocks the world to this rhythm. And the tiki-taki begins to crumble. Walls fall and we need each other, all the more. There is a reciprocal rhythm. Let me give you things. Don't hold back your receiving because it leaves us both bereft of the kinship that ties us, reminds us of our entwinedness and entwinedness as ecological beings. I cannot. No, I will not survive without you. Okay, yes, some kind of half living, but not the kind I'm worthy of. Not the kind you're worthy of. And not the kind they are worthy of. Help me, not to fix, but to fill the heart. Not to trade, but to till the soil of interbeing that is all there has ever been. There is a reciprocal rhythm, and it's not in 4 and 4, for it does not follow straight lines. It's a wild rhythm where I help you and you help her and she gets to stop and he gives all he has for love. There is a reciprocal rhythm and it's not in 4 and 4.
Oh my
That was
gosh!
really incredible.
What is
Wow,
the title
I've
of
never
that one
heard you
again?
read
So much.
poetry before.
It's called Reciprocal Rhythm by Tony Spencer.
What the
Spencer, that was
It's amazing.
amazing.
That was
Thank you.
great. It's in the asking.
Super lovely. Really nice.
That's just really good.
I feel like everybody needed to hear that.
I
Yeah,
am.
shit.
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can I do the one that I've been working on that Lyric asked me to?
Please.
This is changed a lot Lyric since the version you heard, and I'm very open to feedback on it. So I'm continuing to work on it, and so I'm having fun with it. It's called Relationship Escalator, the game. Overview. Relationship Escalator is a mandatory gaming experience for 2 to 4 couples, ages 18 and up, depending on the state. By default, there are only 2 genders and 1 sexual orientation, but a rainbow expansion is coming soon. If you are not in a couple, you cannot play the game. Instead, open the Sad Girl Activity Pack, sold separately. Starting the game. The couple that goes first is the one with the most recent fight. If you can't agree on whether that counted as a fight, a debate, or expressing your feelings, some of which just happen to be anger, you go first. If this process starts a fight, you go first. If 2 couples are tied for the most recent fight, start with whoever is prettier. Step 1, meet cute. Each player draws a character card, a love language, and 3 personality quirks. Start at the bottom of the relationship escalator next to the sad girls and their activity packs. In the first phase, swipe right on the date deck until you succeed a charisma saving throw, then roll the flirting dice to see how your date goes. If you roll a 1, draw a trauma card if your character is female. Step 2, slut shaming. If your date was successful and you decide to have sex, flip a coin to determine whether it was too early or too late. Exchange sexual favor cards. Refer to the included table to see the failure rate of each form of birth control. Step 3, falling in love. In the falling in love phase, you may discard up to 3 red flags. As you race to collect tokens of affection and tag them on Instagram. This part of the game can be fun, but you are required to continue. Step 4, claiming ownership. In this phase, at the end of each turn in which you do not receive a marker of commitment, you unlock the ability to ask, where is this relationship going? Many characters gain the unprotected sex ability, which gives +2 to your intimacy score, with an additional bonus from your dexterity modifier. Unfortunately, you have to discard your other relationships unless you have the poly expansion pack, in which case turn to section 3, the one that begins, how does that even work? Step 5, establishment. In the establishment phase, you have to resolve your different life rhythm cards. This is also where you reveal the family deck and shuffle together your home and finance cards while collecting loyalty counters, which replace the flirting dice. Then flip over your personality quirks. Party animal converts to alcoholism. Sense of adventure becomes reckless driving. And reliable gains the boredom condition. Remember, the only valid choices are everything forever or nothing at all. Step 6, marriage and family. In this phase, tap all of your finance cards to throw a wedding, buy a house, and have a child. It must be in this order or you lose the game. This phase is called starting a family because without children, whatever you think you are, it's not a family. Your life, your friends, your pets are not a family, even if you buy macaroni and cheese in family size. Winning the game. The goal of the game is to achieve a permanently monogamous state-sanctioned legal contract, cohabitating until you die, at which point you win legitimacy. Alternatively, as a special action, a player may at any time declare that this is enough, and you are enough, and maybe everything is a phase, but that does not for 1 second make it any less true. A player may use their turn to point out that nobody knows how this ends, But at some point, I stopped trying to win. And sometime after that, I stopped keeping score. A player may declare that I am on your team and you are on mine. You place the wooden tiles of my name on your thighs. You make Monopoly money feel real. Loving you is putting our dice together and rolling them off the table, across the floor, and out of this garden apartment, tumbling through the grass and into the field, where we make the rules. We don't need to play games, and every number is lucky.
Oh my God, thank you for that.
Holy shit.
Holy.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Fantastic.
thing, but that last bit, that really
Oh
made
my
it
god.
okay again.
I love how you dug deeper into the shittiness of the relationship escalator in this version and just like go downhill from there until it just like swept back into love poem and was like, fuck the game.
Yeah, that whole like
Yeah.
polyamory, how does that even work? Like I've heard that so many times.
Oh,
Yep.
and the everything or nothing at all. Oh, man.
And it's like,
yeah.
oh, you're not a family unless you have a kid. Like,
Mm,
upsetting. Just
That
because my
was-
plants are a family, okay?
Agreed. And this is why fuck the escalator, as the poem says.
That was
Yeah.
the perfect combination of like humor going into like sincerity and it just like all coming around at the end. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. That was, oh man, that was so good. It was, yeah, it was funny and cutting and beautiful. And
It was fun watching everyone's faces turn from like disgust at the obvious awful things you're saying a lot of the time in that poem, and then people being like, oh, but okay.
oh,
Like such a
you brought us back at the end. Yes, we needed this. We needed this.
Yeah, you gave us a really good pivot there. Like your pivot point is so much stronger in this version.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, I think part of that is just, I don't think the pivot point changed that much, but there's a lot more horror in the beginning. There's like, I've taken some cringy moments and tried to like bring out like what makes them awful.
I think that's what it was. Like it really gave us more lead up to it because we were like, I felt like I was reaching for that fucking pivot when we got there.
Yeah.
In the best
Like,
way.
I
Like
didn't
give
know
me
if
the
the pivot- I didn't know if the pivot was coming, so I was like increasingly getting pissed off. And I was like, okay, he's clearly like evoking emotion here. And then the pivot came and it all just melted away. And I was like, oh, that was really good poetry. That made me really emotional.
Sorry for making everyone angry.
That was great.
And you made us
Not
feel
sorry
good.
at
So
all.
a good thing.
You pointed out how angry we should be at you know, the current state of play. So it was good.
Ooh, I like that. And that's gonna help me think about it. Yeah. How angry we should be. Like all the things that we accept until you sort of name them and you're like, wait, that's weird, right? That's weird.
Yeah. Like, hey, it's
Really problematic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like when someone's like, oh, like, you know, how's your baby? Tell me about your baby, and you're telling all about the baby. I don't have a baby, but you know, and they're like, oh, what's the baby's name? And then like, well, is it a boy baby or a girl baby? And you can like dodge that a little bit, and eventually you're like, you know, you're really asking me what is my baby's genitals? That's what you want to know, and like it's kind of a weird thing to ask, don't you think?
It is a
It's
weird
like
thing
the
to ask.
first
Yeah.
question. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Lovely to
Hello.
see
So that reminded me of something by Hera Lindsay Bird, which is about jealousy and like problematic. And then it also reminded me of a Vanessa Castule one called Things I Cannot Promise You, which is nicer. So I'm gonna put it, which would you rather go back into the dark or up into the nice?
Nice.
Both?
Both.
Both.
Why not
The
both?
bisexual option.
Woo!
Both,
Yeah.
but then the
Taxed
nice
by
one
that, okay.
later, after the bad one.
Yes, nice one last.
Okay. All right, don't say I didn't warn you. This is called jealousy. anytime someone I'm dating ever mentions someone they used to love in a semi-nostalgic or non-cynical way, I immediately want to drive my car headfirst into a swamp full of battery acid, ruining Christmas for everyone. It's so unreasonable to be afraid of so many sad and distant women who have escaped into the future, only occasionally looking back through naturally thick eyelashes. When I think about the possibility the person I'm currently with has ever been remotely romantically interested in another person ever, I feel a great self-antagonism for being the kind of woman that came afterwards, like a bad sequel with a higher budget. I feel sorry for the people I love and where it is I'm taking them, because I don't think I'm good enough. And I think it's okay to admit the people you love are better than you. I wouldn't date anyone who wasn't. Imagine dating someone worse than yourself on purpose. That's the kind of fucked up thing only everyone I've ever loved would do.
That's brilliant.
Brilliant.
There wasn't a
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, she's the one who wrote Bruce Willis, You Are the Ghost, and Monica. Yeah. Okay, I'll do the Vanessa Kisulia one because I think it's nice. Things I cannot promise you. Unconditional love. Beauty. Unwavering kindness. Understanding. Perspective. Forever. A few years, a few months, tomorrow. The right words at the right time. Orgasms, pleasure, pleasantness, that I am pleasant, that I am lovable, that I am worthy, that I am a pause for thought, that I am not a stranger, that I am not an actor, that I am not a master of illusion, a contortionist, a magician, that I am not excellent at making things disappear, that we won't look back in 5 years, struggle to recall surnames, smiles, shared secrets, that we won't be an echo of deja vu in the next fuck buddy's nervous laughter, that it won't all feel so meaningless and fleeting, that I won't run from you like a crime scene, that you won't become a bloodstain I want to bleach with my own spit. Unconditional love, beauty, unwavering kindness, understanding, perspective, forever. My God, I could fill a forest's worth of notebooks with all the things I cannot promise you. But know this, right now, I am seasick with joy. And right now, a promise can only stretch so far as the length of my fingers, walking the path of your dormant spine as you sleep. This moment has a pulse, and things can only die if they were alive in the first place.
Oh,
Oh,
ending. It's so good.
So my memories of those poems are like not quite what's in them, because I think that one ends on like a real like emotional thing, and that's what I remember about it, and being like, oh yeah, it's about like giving the thing a chance, even if it's just going to exist like temporarily. And then I think how funny Hera Lindsay Bird is. So
I have a
Wait,
couple
have
of.
you-
presented them.
I've got a couple of very, very short, light-hearted ones about loss and things. From Wendy Cope. The first one is the title. It's Two Cures for Love. So 2 cures for love. Number 1, don't see him. Don't phone him or write a letter. Number 2, the easy way. Get to know him better. That's the first one. And the second one, and the second one's called Loss. The day he moved out was terrible. That evening she went through hell. His absence wasn't a problem, but the corkscrew had gone as well.
brutal.
Oh, Yeah, the one I was gonna read, I don't know if it totally works after those anymore necessarily.
Sorry.
That is the issue with the meandering, just random connection format. It's okay.
Actually, this one's
Anything-
kind of about falling out of love, but also about falling back in it. Arden, did you have one? Because you can go next.
I
if
had
you
something
have one.
building off of one of Bina's most recent ones. So it's not directly connected to what we just heard.
You can go.
I think you might be able to loop it back to what I'm reading, just because I was going to read Fight for Love, if that's okay, and everything can tie into Fight for Love in some way.
Great. Go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. I feel like you're going to find a link for this. Also, sorry if y'all have heard me read this before, but I fucking love this poem. It's by Andrea Gibson. They're so fucking cool. And yeah, turmoil in relationships. That'll be the link. Maybe you suggested something unthinkable, like perhaps I should get my dog groomed after she rolled in the poo of a sick horse, and I naturally concluded that you were the absolute worst for thinking I would subject an angel to the horror of being bathed by a blade-toting stranger. Maybe it was when you were editing my book and you said something elitist like, you can't end every poem by repeating the last line, or you can't have the word moon or firefly in every piece you write. And I screamed something like, I'd rather have a sky without a moon in it than a poem without a moon in it, you uppity, thesaurus-addicted snow globe full of dandruff. Maybe it was the poly argument and your face going fire engine red the second I mentioned an old flame. Maybe I decided you didn't want history to exist, which meant you wanted me to be magic. A virgin rabbit pulled out of your pretty hat, or a lady cut in half. Maybe it was when you said like 6 times in a single sentence and I freaked out about our age difference. And you said I couldn't argue for my own time-earned wisdom while throwing a 3-year-old's tantrum. Good point. Maybe it was one of the times I got so mad I befriended you on Facebook and you got so mad about that I decided you were the shallow end of the baby pool. Maybe you peed in the water to prove me right. Maybe it was the night at the straight bar when the table of men invited you to sit with them. Maybe it was when you didn't notice their eyes drooling down your breasts, thought Celine Dion on the karaoke machine was just bringing them to tears. Maybe it was when you suggested the bar was queer friendly because someone asked if I was Tegan and Sarah. Maybe it was one of those nights when I was 2 people, neither of them the real me, just caricatures of my worst possible qualities. Maybe it was when we decided to start a podcast discussing all of our arguments, then got into an argument during the first 5 minutes of recording and canceled the show. But at some point it hit me. You and I are always going to fight for love. I am always going to drag my heart into the ring to call you the knockout I've been waiting for my whole life. You are always going to trigger me into rifling through my history until every ghost is hunted out. Every fight we have ever had has been an opportunity to unbruise the past. What hurt would we still be hoarding in our garage had we never fought about your inability to park a car because the GPS stops telling you what to do when you pull into a driveway? Please run over the mailbox if that keeps me from looking for new ways to send my best self to you. I am so in love with who we are, who we have been fighting to become together. I can't believe I finally adore a human as much as I adore my dog. Even when I'm in the doghouse, I know you love me so much. Thank you for saying there's no need to open our relationship because being with me is already like being with 50 impossible people. Thank you for accepting my friend request for the 5th time this year. Thank you for screaming all the way home from that straight bar to the bed where our bodies made up, while the moon flew through the window and a firefly poured into the room and landed in your hand, which you opened like a ring box and asked me to marry you. And we were so new I blushed instead of answered. But a firefly is forever, and you know what my answer is. A firefly is forever, and you know what my answer is.
Hey!
I fucking love that poem. Thanks for giving me regular excuses to read this every
Really
so
great
often,
reading.
folks.
Oh, I love it. It's fab.
What book is that from?
Lord of the Butterflies.
Oh yeah, cool.
There's also a video of Megan and Andrea reading it together on the internet if anyone's interested, which is really fun.
Yeah, what should I look for that?
I'll just put it in the chat.
Awesome.
Do it.
Was what you were going to read still going to be able to work after that one? I feel like there's so much everything about similar themes that maybe.
Yeah, sure, I can read it. But it was particularly inspired by the last line of the most recent poem that Bina read, which was Bina, do you remember what that line was?
Things can only die if they're alive in the first place.
Things can only die if they're alive. Ineffable. When soldiers part ways at war's end, the breakup of the platoon triggers the same emotion as the death of a person. It is the final bloodless death of the war. This same mood haunts actors on the drop of the final curtain. After months of working together, something greater than themselves has just died. After a store closes its doors on its final evening, or a Congress wraps its final session, the participants amble away, feeling that they were part of something larger than themselves, something they intuit had a life, even though they can't quite put their finger on it. In this way, death is not only for humans, but for everything that existed. And it turns out that anything which enjoys life enjoys an afterlife. Platoons and plays and stores and congresses do not end. They simply move on to a different dimension. They are things that were created and existed for a time, and therefore, by the cosmic rules, they continue to exist in a different realm. Although it is difficult for us to imagine how these beings interact, they enjoy a delicious afterlife together, exchanging stories of their adventures. They laugh about good times and often, just like humans, lament the brevity of life. The people who constituted them are not included in their stories. In truth, they have as little understanding of you as you have of them. They generally have no idea you existed. It may seem mysterious to you that these organizations can live on without the people who composed them, but the underlying principle is simple. The afterlife is made of spirits. After all, you do not bring your kidney and liver and heart to the afterlife with you. Instead, you gain independence from the pieces that make you up. A consequence of this cosmic scheme may surprise you. When you die, you are grieved by all of the atoms of which you were composed. They hung together for years, whether in sheets of skin or communities of spleen. With your death, they do not die. Instead, they part ways, moving off in their separate directions, mourning the loss of a special time they shared together, haunted by the feeling that they were once playing parts in something larger than themselves, something that had its own life, something they can hardly put a finger on.
I love that book. So good.
Wow, what book is that from?
This is from Some 40 Tales from the Afterlife.
They're all just like beautiful imaginings of afterlives. It's great.
I
Yeah,
really like that idea of, because I quite like the idea that everything we are kind of goes back into the world when we stop being. I like the idea that all the atoms. You sort of have that vague sense of being part of a cool thing before that. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, it makes me think that your social dancing also exists in that realm, as does this Zoom call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like thought when you were reading it at the start of the poem about like dance events, because there is a proper like come down when you leave. It's brutal.
It made me think of that and singing in a choir, which I haven't thought about in a really long time. Like playing music with other people too, for sure. But there's something about choral singing specifically in songs where there are no solos and everyone's voices are just blending together to form something beautiful as one the entire time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I've just seen the time. Does anyone have a poem they want to read? And then maybe at some point we say goodbye to the catch-up group, and then we just keep going with poems if people still want to. That's kind of the way it normally is. Or we just do an extra long recording. It's fine too.
I mean, if you're the one uploading it, you can decide how long you want to make it, really.
That's true. I mean, I'm saving straight to my computer, so that's a lot less work than having to like cut together the two things. And also this is always gallery view the whole time, so it shouldn't be too bad. And there's no urgency for catch up because there isn't like a part 2 coming tomorrow that people need to do before, so I think we're okay.
Just a quick question. I missed the title and the collection that the last poem came from. Was it called Some Beautiful Imaginings of the Afterlife?
Some 40 Tales from the Afterlives by David Eagleman.
Some 40 Tales. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a couple of them that I know are like also read out loud that became like radio pieces, which I've collected. I think it also, yeah, technically not a poem, but a short story, but it's very poetic. So I hope you'll forgive the indulgence.
We have had songs here. We have had excerpts from things. We've had some silliness. You're fine.
That's great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I can always pull out more death poetry as a link, but does anyone else have another thing that links? I feel like I've read quite a bit today.
I think let's not slide into just reading death poetry.
Right? I know. Or something else is a theme off of that, but that's where Afterlife goes for me, and that's why I'm like somebody else.
I love that Mike's like, yes, please, no death.
Well, and also we are going to have a death themed, like a whole death themed night at some point, basically TBC when we're all emotionally resilient enough.
I think it really depends on how many people are up for it, because I know that we were talking about a book club fairly recently, and at least 3 of us were up for it. So I know, Bracken, would you be up for death anytime soon?
Mate, I have so many poems about death. You have no idea.
That's what I thought. Cool. So like, I'm guessing between
poems about death.
Yeah, cool. So if people are not up for that, that's also okay. But I think that there are at least 5 of us who are up for it to do a death day. If we want to get together.
Katie suggested the theme as well, so I'm not sure if Katie is on whether we're ready for it yet. I'm certainly feeling a lot better than I would come to death poetry night now.
So when Katie is ready to host it, we shall do death.
Yeah.
Hooray! But like not in the creepy group suicide way. Let's not do that one.
There was somebody on Poetry Time recommended me this book, which is called Cracking On, which is all about getting old, and it's poems by old people. So there's like a whole, like almost half of this, like a whole third of this is probably just like, some of them are like really wholesome and funny and cute, and they're all about being like, yeah, we're gonna die. How do we think about this, and how do we like settle this in our minds and like relate to it? And like some people are very funny about it actually, and like some people are quite like wholesome about it. It's unexpectedly not terrible, so don't not attend, Mike.
It's not,
I mean, you can also not attend if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's not a requirement, but I don't think it'll be an hour of like just really I think it'll be a mixture. like including the sort of thing that Arden just read, and like,
Yeah. Danusha Lamaris has some other like quite beautiful ones about death, like The Watch, that aren't quite as heavy, that still will pull out your feelings, I think. She has ones about death that make me laugh. Mary Oliver is very surprisingly wholesome about death a lot of the time. Very prolific. Classic Mary, you know.
I do have one that would connect to that last, kind of about coming together and going apart. It's called All My Friends Are Finding New Beliefs.
Ooh, I like that title.
By Christian women. All my friends are finding new beliefs. This one converts to Catholicism and this one to trees. In a highly literary and hitherto religiously indifferent Jew, God womps on like a genetic generator. Paleo, keto, zone, South Beach, bourbon, exercise regimes so extreme she merges with the machine. One man marries a woman 20 years younger, and twice in one brunch uses the word verdant. Another's brick-fisted belligerence gentles into dementia, and one, after a decade of financial feints and teasers, like a sandpiper at the edge of the sea, decides to die. Priesthoods and beasthoods, sombers and glees, high styles, renunciations and avocations of dirt, sobriety, satieties, pilgrimages to the very bowels of being. All my friends are finding new beliefs, and I am finding it harder and harder to keep track of all the new gods and the new loves and the old gods and the old loves, and the days have daggers and mirrors, motives, and the planets turning faster and faster in the blackness, and my nights and my doubts and my friends, my beautiful, credible friends.
Yay for friends! Yay!
Oh, that made me really happy.
Mike, you're the sweetest.
Nice.
That's just lovely.
Oh, nice.
That was lovely, Ashra. Thank you.
I think I've got a whole collection of friendship poems as a PDF, which is not my preference.
I feel like Michael Cox has written some really lovely
Oh, yeah.
poems about friendship.
Can we have a Mike poem?
Ooh.
I've got 2 whole books right here if you're stuck.
I was just gonna say.
Oh, if someone wants to do one first, that'd be good.
Okay. I cannot find what I was looking for though.
Oh.
Issue, hang on. You got one?
Maybe. That one I want to edit before I read it for people. Okay, now if you have one, go for it. Or and there's one metaphor that doesn't work and it'll make me wild.
That's fair. I've got a little one from the Liz Berry collection about meeting a friend when you need one. It's called Marie. I didn't know when we met in the Baptist church hall that you would save my soul, Marie, with your black hair, that I would walk through sleet with my pram to your door, my heart clem-gutted, Marie, with your black hair, and you'd be waiting with your curtains pulled and the flame blue, Marie, with your black hair. Take my hands in yours and touch the palms, saying, I know, I know. Marie, with your black hair. You could see I was drowning and taking him with me. My boy, my baby. Marie, with your black hair. You made a wave of your body, and like a gasping fish, I was born upon it.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Oh.
Mm.
Right.
Okay, so given that we were hinting to Arden earlier about weekends away and how awesome they are, I thought I'd just go for Cuddle Puddle because I quite like that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bless you. This is lifting the curtain on our weekends away, Arden here. There's an extra special time on those weekends away when the hour hand draws the blinds at the end of the day, as the energy drops and everyone flops on each other and starts to nuzzle, slotting heads under arms and chests under palms like parts of a moving puzzle. Sheer happiness fills us, breathing as one, tummies filling up with the cuddles as we all feast upon a love that has never been so pure as this body of heavenly bodies constellating across the floor.
That was so beautiful.
Oh, I love that poem, Mike. I actually have the right poem to go after that. I have a poem about dancing that also says galaxy because you have constellation of heavenly bodies.
Yes.
Aha.
Do it.
Also, I really want to have a big cuddle puddle.
Yeah, what the fuck? Good.
Yes. Yes.
Like, gonna break our hearts further that we still have social distancing as a thing.
Yeah, I was gonna read the poem that I wrote for Tara for her birthday, which is perfect because it was her birthday yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And cuddle. Yeah, this is a galaxy between us. The untrained eye, our closeness may look like physical silence when it buzzes with anticipation, care, and vulnerability. Deliberately, quietly aware. She's reading the listeners, even when she's speaking. Dancing with her is refreshing and soothing as watermelon in the bath. A movement as small as a drip from the corner of your lips curls into a smile while we begin to build a galaxy between us. Sharing our breath comes naturally as breathing on my own. We shape planets and draw rings around them, the size you'd put on your finger. Every seed, a jewel, a star in our sky. We pull cool moons from each other's chests and create our own sweet core within a rind full of warmth to ease the chill of the night's air. A sun to light our sky that glows brighter and brighter until it seems like our galaxy has exploded, all while seemingly standing perfectly still. Some micro dancing.
I miss micro so much.
Yeah. I think as our age group get our second doses, I feel like we can do at least like tiny like house dance parties at that point.
I've had 2 vaccines already. Yes. I got my second last week. Yes.
Congrats, that's awesome.
Yay. Yeah. I think we had our first ones about 3 weeks ago now, so
Yeah.
still be a little while for the next one, I think.
Okay. Because I've heard, well, at least in England, I suppose, they're doing kind of drop-in centres. They're opening up more, so you can go in ahead of your time. I'm not sure whether that's a thing in Scotland as well.
I think
They're
it's
opening them up here too.
Can do if you just go to the centres in Scotland, just because like if there's someone who can stick the jack in your arm, they'll do it if you're like if the timing's good enough.
Yeah.
So it depends. There might be a big queue and there might not be, but
Okay.
Yeah. We're considering trying it just because July 1st isn't that far away, but the sooner I'm jabbed, the better I'll feel.
Is that for your first or your second one?
Second. close. Not that I have many folks to dance with here, but maybe I'll be able to lure someone into it. Though Alex, my partner, has been trying dancing more. We've been dancing at home. So
That's so exciting.
it's really like we'll get stoned and put on some music, and he has really impressive body control for someone who doesn't dance. Like he can get that, like, you know, that thing hip hop dancers do where there will be a little movement that like travels through their body, but it'll like go from arm down their chest or whatever. Alex can do that so fucking fluidly. I'm like, how? Like I practice this, but I also like I'm good at little pops, but getting fluid motions connected is not my strong suit. Yeah. At least he's playing, and I have someone to try dancing with a little, and it's fun.
That's
Not
so
that he
exciting.
can't
That's really lovely.
And I'm just saying, like, not that he can't dance, it's just that he like hasn't taken lessons. Like, we're dancing in the kitchen. I'm not gonna start giving him a dance lesson in the middle of dancing in the kitchen. That'd be rude.
I reckon everyone can dance. Like, you know, I have been just before lockdown, I was starting a scene here in Fiji because blues has never reached Fiji. And when I was here last year, I convinced a mate who, like, there were no partnered dances happening in Fiji. And then a guy came from the UK who could swing dance, and he wanted to start a thing. And so we started that. And then we just started blues before lockdown happened. And it was amazing. I thought that, because everyone's quite conservative here, and there's no, like, it's very, very gendered, and there's no capacity for having platonic friendships with people of different genders. So we're trying to like break that down, and we're trying to, get a voice for the LGBTQI plus community here. And anyway, so I thought, blues dancing is going to be a bit problematic in terms of like getting it across. But I ran a class and people absolutely loved it. And it was just really good. So I think when we get out of lockdown, we'll hopefully be able to get people keen to do more, which is really exciting.
Yeah. That's awesome. You ran classes. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
Yeah. And they really liked it, which I just didn't expect. Like I had a big chat at the beginning about like, consent and close embrace and like, only do what everyone feels comfy with. And then at the end, I ran a class, and then at the end they said, so how do people feel? Do they feel comfortable? And everyone was like, absolutely, we want to do more. When's the next one? And I was like, yay. So yeah, I think it's going to be really good.
Oh, it's amazing. It's really good.
Yeah. And they were all so good. Like they've never done anything like it before. And they just had this like body awareness. It was just amazing. I was so impressed. It was so great.
Yeah. Dancing. We'll get to do it again.
One day.
Can you have little house dances between yourselves? Like I know Beanie went to see Katie the other day. Are you allowed to do little dances?
I think, yeah, so you don't have social distance from people like in your own house or garden now within the like small numbers of people. Okay. We're allowed to do that. So it is, I think it's just the idea of kind of specifically having people around like for dancing. I'm still not quite sure where everyone would be kind of at with that. I think it would feel quite different, and everyone's still sort of easing back into the fact that like we can hug each other sometimes now. So I think I think just a few give it a few more weeks and let everyone sort of settle and see what's happening, and get a bit more used to not having to consciously stay 2 meters apart the whole time.
Also, hey Arden, you know what you could probably take up in your spare time while you're saving up money to go traveling post-pandemic is you could start learning to partner social dance. Come meet up in Glasgow, probably. I feel like it's the easiest place to
come to Scotland and do dancing in the Highlands with us.
Yeah, that's the plan for September 2022. So
well, I used to do dancing every week in Pittsburgh. There was a very vibrant blues scene.
No fucking way!
Yeah,
wait, what? How have we not been through this?
Because we haven't spoken outside of class, Lyric, but I would love to continue.
How did it not come up when we were all like, we all know each
people.
other because of dancing?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's,
Okay.
you know, so Pittsburgh has huge blues things coming through. The Steel something, which I used to
Yeah,
like
Steel
host
City
people
Blues.
for. Yeah, Steel City Blues. Right. And so I have friends who would teach classes. I would go to classes there. It was like a huge thing that I used to do. And I was in Pittsburgh for about 7 years.
Okay, we're
But
gonna
now
have
I'm in,
That's so awesome.
yeah.
Lyric, I like that you accidentally invited probably the only already blues dancer from your poetry class.
That's fucking amazing. You know,
And specifically, there was a teacher who would, you know, give us all sorts of teaching, and she said that, oh, I think you might really be best at micro dancing. And so I was also resonating with what you were saying before, that like, as you were talking about that in your,
you
in
know
your
who
poem.
this teacher is?
Yeah, her name
Micro
is
is so beautiful.
what's her name? Shoot. Megan Tyler Morrison.
I have not learned from her, but one of my first dance teachers learned from her at one point and has gushed about
Oh.
her.
Really?
Her
She's a
and
friend of
Lessa
mine.
Lamb were two of her faves. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, sweet. So at some point we'll have to properly do the social media thing if you're up for it, and then I can stalk all the dancers that we know in common.
Absolutely. Lyric, where do you dance when you're not in Glasgow?
I mean, I live in Winnipeg, so really I just bump back and forth to Glasgow and drive to Minneapolis for events when I can. And we've got a little scene here, but Winnipeg's particularly hard in terms of commitment because for half the year, public transport still feels pretty uninhabitably cold. So it's tough to get people to be consistent.
Hey,
Yeah,
Mike.
we've got a handful of folks.
Hey, Mike. You know, Manchester Micro Fusion Exchange that you're doing.
Yes.
Do you want to schedule it for close to Highland Fusion Retreat so that people can go to both? Again.
Yeah. So what have you thought? And this is probably a private conversation, but yeah, have you thought about dates for next year?
I have not.
Okay. Let's get on it. Okay.
I will definitely be there in late May for a wedding. So if you want to plan your events for early-ish June, it's pretty convenient for me because then I don't have to fly back and can just stay.
I would love, to be honest, the weather here has been awesome in June. So June's a big on thumbs up for me.
Love you, friends.
And that would be good for Highland Fusion.
Yeah, if we can get earlier in June, then there aren't going to be as many midgies. Ideally.
Okay, that's good. That works.
Yeah, but it's still like nice enough to be able to be outside and like doing stuff.
Yeah.
Early morning run road trip with all the Michaels. That's my Highland Fusion. Like Saturday morning, climb up a big mountain.
Come back Saturday afternoon, have a water fight.
Yeah.
Lyric, would it?
But now I have to leave. So thank you, everyone.
We should probably say goodbye to Catch Up Crew because we've now just been chatting for like a while.
Doro. You know.
Doro, next time that you log into Poetry Time, you're going to be living in Glasgow.
Yes,
what?
yes, I am moving on Wednesday, and I am so excited. I cannot wait.
That's awesome.
I am
Congratulations.
So excited, and I'm so looking forward to Glasgow again. Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Good night.
Good to
Bye.
Bye. All right. I'm gonna do a bye to the Catch Up Crew as well. Do we have any good advice? Don't do the relationship escalator thing. That shit's pretty fucked up.
But if you want to spell your lover's name in Scrabble tiles on their thigh, that's hot.
Very hot.
Yeah.
And that was the censored version.
All right.
Goodbye, Catch Up Crew.
Catch Up Crew.
Okay.